Minasan, welcome back to our playthrough of Our Life Beginning and Always. We're continuing where we left off, doing all of the moments from step 2. And today, we're going to do Escapade. I am very positive I'm saying that right, but I also feel like I might not be saying it right. But we're continuing where we left off last time. So let's do it, and Road Trip will be the last one that we do. I'm saving Road Trip for last, because I do know what happens. Although, I'd been told that there is something I did not get the first time, so we're gonna try and get that. But, I know what I want to do for. I know I want to save it for last. You looked up, noticing the sun was finally setting. You had been trying to delay the end of the day for as long as possible. The evening breeze tickled your nose as you sat on your front porch, munching on fresh watermelon slices. You were eating it just because watermelon was a summer treat. Yes! It was always the go-to after dinner snack at your household during the summer months. It was a special something that didn't really happen during the rest of the year. You turned to look at Cove. Both of you had been sitting in comfortable silence for a while now. Look at the adorable boy! Look at him! Oh, he's so good! I'm sorry, I'm gonna say that every time I see him because he's so cute. He sat next to you, close enough for your shoulders to touch. He was happily absorbed in his thoughts and his own slice of watermelon. Chuckling, you watched as his face twisted in discomfort. He had to stop chewing to spit out a seed into the bush. I bet I can spit a seed further than you, Cove! Immediately, you shoved the majority of what was left of your watermelon slice into your mouth just to get a seed to prove your point. As soon as you could, you sent that seed sailing into the middle of the street. Did you see that, Cove? Cove burst out into laughter that slowed into a wide grin. You could tell he was equal parts surprised and impressed. Can you do that again? I didn't see where it landed. Of course I can! You popped another seed into your mouth and focused on where the last one landed. Setting the seed free, you got it to go even further this time.
Not bad.
I know! Aren't I amazing, Cove? Not bad! You had Cove chuckling again. It was taking a lot of focus to stay looking serious and not break into laughter yourself. I'd like to see you try. I will. Cove took a mouthful of watermelon, face grimacing when he had the seed. Then his expression morphed into a focused look and he sent the seed flying, landing in a similar spot to yours. Wait, you got to do too. I need another try. He spoke before you could even comment on his non-victory. His determination got you laughing. He quickly sent another closer to where your second one landed. Seems we're evenly matched for now.
Yeah.
For now. For the next several minutes, you both kept carving seeds from your slices and giggling at the ridiculousness of the competition. Eventually, a truce was called, and you both went back to eating the neglected watermelon flesh. Da-da-da-dots, da-da-da-dots. Oh, it's time for the da-da-dots where awkward silence isn't a game. 'Cause I don't know why the game needs the awkward silence instead of just continuing on. I wonder if I'll have another slice after this one. That one is your third already. Is that bad? It tastes really good. I'm gonna sigh affectionately. He's so cute. If another slice is gonna make you happy, it will. Go ahead, I'm not gonna stop you. Cove picked up another slice. He smiled at you, delighted. A little while later, Cove flinched, making a confused sound. He slowly put his current slice down on the plate next to him. Are you okay? Yeah? He stood up, head tilted back to look at the sky. His feet took him to the middle of the street. Did you notice anything? What do you mean? I thought I felt a raindrop. The sun's still out. You put down your watermelon slice and hopped off your front step. Immediately, you felt a tap of water on the crown of your head, making you yelp. You're right! Damn it, it's raining in the middle of the sun! Cove was still staring at the sky, and you watched as he began blinking more rapidly. When he finally turned in your direction, his face was bemused. It's a sun shower. Oh, look at his adorable face! It seemed crazy, but you couldn't avoid the drops that began increasing into a light shower. Booming with laughter, Cove kicked off his shoes towards his front door and reveled in the moment. Felt kind of special to you. Something rooted you in place, and you couldn't quite put your finger on any word to describe the feeling. Elated, he was jumping and spinning in the rain. There was also a warmth radiating from him. I'm joining him! You ran over to stand out in the street with him. He smiled at your approach and offered you his hand. You took it. You played in the droplets until you were both dizzy and laughed until your bodies ached. Just as suddenly as the sprinkling started, it stopped and left you dripping with the smell of wet asphalt and soil tickling your nose. Cove caught your eyes, running a hand through his wet hair. Oh, this is that. I didn't notice this before, but look at his shirt's actually wet. Like zoom in. Zoom! Look at his shirt's actually wet. Oh, details. I love attention to details. That's adorable. Oh, good job. Good job, Gabe. That's adorable.
Aww.
It's over. The drops of rain clinging to his face could almost have been mistaken for tears. He sounded that disappointed. I'm charmed. There was still a spark of amusement dancing in his eyes from the sun shower, and you couldn't help but smile from ear to ear. What? I don't want to answer that. Nothing, just thinking about how fast you committed to getting soaked. He chuckled bashfully. Yeah, it was pretty cool. You then looked over at your door and sighed. You knew Ma wasn't going to be happy to see you trailing water into the house. Cove rubbed his arm awkwardly. He must have been thinking the same thing because he watched you sympathetically. Cove, what'd you do to me?
It's okay.
You could dry off at my house if you want. My parents won't mind. You're the sweetest guy I know. I'm gonna make him blush all the time. Thanks. It's not a big deal. It is. I could hardly hear my ma's cries over my wet footsteps being all. I could already hear my ma's cries over my wet footsteps being all over the halls. I know. It's okay. Cove led you inside and you stayed close to him. We have a ton of spare towels. I've just got to dig them out of the hall closet. I think I'm gonna need to borrow some clothes from you too. Cove didn't have any towels yet, but he came back into eye shot so you could see him stare at you flatly and roll his eyes. Haha, don't you think my clothes might be a bit big? I'm not joking. It'd be nice to borrow a shirt. He raised an eyebrow and a tiny frown paired with a blush appeared on his face. I'm sorry, my dear man. I'm gonna be in a wet t-shirt. I think it'd be better that you give me a dry one. I mean... If you're serious, I'm just gonna dry my stuff off, but I could get you something for you. Thanks, Cove. With that, Cove disappeared and returned in no time. He wasn't making much eye contact, but had towels in his hand, plus what seemed to be one of his pajama shirts. It was a bright pink color with a dark brown seashell pattern all over. You were certain it'd look great on him. So, well, here it is. I hope that works. Nice, thanks. You accepted both the towel and the shirt. You wrapped the cloth around your neck temporarily and took a trip to his bathroom to change. The shirt was old but very soft. You already felt more comfortable just thinking about having it on instead of your current damp attire. You left your shirt over the shower curtain rod to dry and patted yourself down with a towel, and slipped Cove's shirt on. You wrapped your arms around your torso. The change didn't completely fix your predicament, but it was definitely an improvement. Even if it was kind of an off fit, you could make it work. And you couldn't deny it was a little bit thrilling to wear a piece of his clothing. You almost couldn't believe it was true. Not wanting to keep Cove waiting, you promptly returned to the living room. He looked up to greet you after hearing you come back down the hall. How'd it go? Is it good? It looks good. What, really? He chuckled a broken laugh, unsure what the proper thing to say about this kind of situation was. Keeping eye contact was even more of a challenge for him than before. I think so. You wear it well. I can tell it's not really yours, that it's mine. You got the impression that just as you felt some excitement at wearing his clothes, he was having a similar reaction to seeing you in it. Thanks, Cove.
You're welcome.
He's so cute! Oh my goodness, he's so cute! I'm sorry that I'm being high, right? I'm being like a high squeaky voice right now. He's just so cute! Oh, I love how he's written. He's just adorable. A sudden call caught both of your attentions. I thought I heard voices! Cove's mom strolled into the living room with a curious grin.
Huh?
What happened here? You're both wet. There was a sun shower. Badass! Cove smiled back at his parent. We came inside to dry off. My moms don't want me going into my house when I'm wet.
Right.
So I told Blue to come back here. That was very sweet of you, baby! She ruffled Cove's wet hair and laughed as the drops of water that shook off. Then a light came to Kyra's eyes.
What do you think?
I have an idea. Why don't we go for a drive? It has to beat standing around the house, and you'll air dry in no time. Cove only offered a shrug and a bent smile to his mom. He looked at you for a real answer. Let's do it! Fun! This'll be good! Kyra pulled out her cell phone from her pocket to call your moms. They had swapped numbers early in the summer.
See you soon.
Head out to the garage. I'll meet you there in just a second. In just a minute.
Sorry.
My mom can be so pushy. She gets some idea in her head and that's what she does. That's okay. Thanks for letting me come. I didn't do anything. You're my friend, so you did everything. That wasn't true at all, but you let him get away with it. Come on. Cove led you to the car and Kyra wasn't too far behind.
Okay.
Into the back, you two! Once the three of you were situated inside, Kyra started it and drove out of the residential area. When she hit the main road, the car sped up and she rolled the back windows down all the way.
Hey!
Cove started laughing as he kept trying in vain to keep his hair from flying into his eyes too much. Meanwhile, you closed your eyes as the wind whipped against your wet clothes. I said this drive was gonna be good for getting air dried! Yeah, but I didn't agree to this much air. Cove tried pressing the window button, but nothing happened. His eyebrows furrowed in frustration.
No way!
You disabled the back? Sorry, I can't hear you! Smiling deviously, Kyra turned on the radio and turned it up to be heard over the wind. You yelled in the wind and burst into laughter. Looking over at Cove, you saw him relax. He seemed glad that you were having fun. And then something struck the side of your leg. Several papers were freed from under the car seats and were blown about. Oh! They can't go out the windows! Cove began to haphazardly reach around the space to try and get them all back under wraps. Mom, close the windows! Kyra offered no response other than a chuckle. She just kept driving. Cove snatched the last several papers out of the air and you caught others, preventing most of them from flying out the window on your side. You showed Cove your collection while grinning widely. Look how many we saved! You figured that if they were sitting out in the back of the car, they couldn't be important enough to get upset over. But Cove continued looking annoyed. Your smile started to slip, and at that, his expression softened. You did good. Thanks for helping. The sun set completely, and at that, Kyra rolled up the windows. Cove let out a big sigh and released the random bits of paper that he had in his fists. My mom is crazy. He ran a hand through his wind-blown hair and laughed with a bit of exasperation. The evening had really turned out to be more interesting than you had expected. Grinning, you were happy with your odds at whatever else happened next. Cove watched you with interest until his focus was taken by a new comment from his mom. I bet you're not feeling damp anymore. No, but now I feel tricked. Yeah, you didn't tell us you'd trap us like that. My bad. Kyra continued driving. The radio volume was adjusted for the closed windows, and everyone was sitting more comfortably. Kyra lowered the sound even more after pulling into a red light. She took the chance to turn around, and you caught her coy smirk.
So?
Does anyone know what we drove past during the dry cycle? No? A movie theater! Okay, most places have one. It isn't that late, you know. We could probably still catch a show.
What?
Really, Mom? We don't even know what'd be playing.
Come on.
That's what makes it fun. I want to see a movie. Both of you? Sorry, Cove. I want to see a movie with you. Is that a horrible thing? He seemed hesitant. You gave him a smile and Cove eased up a bit. Don't get me wrong. I'm not advocating impulsive behavior every day. But it's important to seize the moment when you can. We might never have another night like this. And don't worry, Blue. I said I'd watch over you for the night, not just 10 minutes or so. I'll put your parents in the loop about hitting the movies as soon as we get there.
That's,
I didn't bring any shoes. I'm not wearing any either. You lifted your foot up and wiggled your toes so Cove could see. How are we gonna go inside barefoot? I don't know.
It's all right.
We'll sneak through quick. No one will notice. You can do it just this once. You bounced in your seat excitedly that it was actually gonna happen. Kyra was right. You never got to do stuff like this. Kyra drove to the movie theater parking lot and shut the engine off. With the unbuckling of her seatbelt, she ushered you and Cove out. Despite being hesitant to leave, once outside, Cove burst into a sprint towards the cinema. You were right along with him. The tarmac was still wet from before and cold to stand on with bare feet. Inside, you noticed there were no lines. All the current shows had already started. Kyra paid that no mind and strode up towards the counter with some words of encouragement. A third of the running time is ads these days. We haven't missed anything. Meanwhile, Cove stood next to you awkwardly. He shifted from one foot to the other and constantly kept looking around. His shady behavior would have made him much more likely to get caught than standing still would have, if there were people around to really notice. It was pretty goofy. You poked Cove's arm to get his attention. If only they sold shoes at the concession stand. Yeah, I wish. Yeah, that'd be too convenient, but we'll get through it. His expression softened to a pleased smile. Exciting a sigh of relief from you, Kyra returned with tickets in hand. She quickly herded you and Cove towards the showing room. I'm so sorry for the little hiccup, but hold on. We've almost made it home free. Once we sit down, it'll be smooth sailing. The lights were already off in the showing room, but the movie hadn't started yet. The upcoming movie trailers were still playing.
Aha!
Yes! Keeping her volume in a hushed tone, Kyra couldn't help but burst with excitement over your luck. You followed her down the walkway until she spotted open seats in the middle-ish area of the theater. Kyra pointed at the seats, looking over her shoulder at you and Cove, waiting for input. Cove nodded, and you decided to give her a thumbs up as she led the way. When you reached your seats, Kyra sighed contentedly. Cove gave a sigh of his own and lifted his feet to sit cross-legged instead of keeping them down on the floor. He then leaned over and whispered to you.
So...
Do you have any idea what the movie is? No, I didn't hear the name or anything when your mom bought the tickets. Well, that just means it's a surprise. A big surprise for all of us. Oh boy. After a couple more previews, the main event began. It dawned on you quickly that it was a horror film. One about a group of students being haunted by dangerous ghosts. Oh, You were terrified. I'm gonna be terrified. We're gonna cling to Cove. The movie was only starting, and you were already petrified. That was perfect. Glancing over at Cove, you noticed that he looked less than thrilled with the movie. He bit down on his butt. Look at that face! Look at that adorable face! God darn it, Cove, you're so adorable. Oh. But scary movies with the guy you like, that's like everything that we all know works in the playbook. He bit down on his bottom lip and stared at the screen with trembling eyes. Cove had never been a fan of ghosts and intentionally frightening things. That was something you learned about him early on. Angled my body or grab a hold of his hand. Grab his hands. Your fingers wrapped tight around his and he jumped slightly at the unexpected touch. But his expression softened when he peeked at you out of the corner of his eyes. He gave your hand a squeeze and silently voiced support. That made you feel good. Sometimes the other people in the theater screamed or jeered or clapped depending on what was happening. Your heart was pounding in your chest when the movie finally came to an end. The main character resolved the hauntings, but the dark conclusion, they didn't make it out alive. You stayed to let the credits roll for the theater to clear out, then it was time to head back to the car. Both you and Cove took the same seats in the back of the car again. Even though it was late, Kyra was exuding an upbeat, cheerful energy. What a great flick! Don't you know that your son doesn't like horror movies? Kyra? One would think you'd make a better choice of a movie.
I guess.
It wasn't so bad in the end. You enjoyed it, baby? No, I mean, it's hard to explain. I got really tense, and I guess that's the point of horror stuff, but I kinda don't want to have to feel like that. Now that it's all over, though, it was sort of cool to do.
Fantastic.
That's so great! Blue, how are you feeling? It was terrible, but that made it fun. Fair, but sometimes bad movies are good just for that reason. I still can't believe they died. It's nice when things aren't obvious. You just don't really know how it will end till you see it. But I wanted it to go better. Let's nod along with Cove. You were interested in hearing his thoughts. You and Cove spent the rest of the car ride absorbed in conversation about the movie. So, who's hungry? You were surprised when you realized Kyra didn't drive you home, but to a drive-thru burger restaurant instead. Why not? That's the spirit! Get whatever you want! Oh, okay. Ooh, okay. We get to. I want a cheeseburger. I want French fries. I want a milkshake. Oh. And then let's get mozzarella sticks, and that's everything. Is that all right?
Of course.
It's A-okay. Cove chuckled a little at the size of your list, but had no disapproval over it. I only ordered 4 things, Cove. Kyra pulled up to the window and ordered what you asked for first. She then decided to order one of everything on the value menu. Whoa! What are you gonna do with all that? Eat it!
Really?
The whole menu? Even after Blue picked most of that already? That's right! There are only maybe 10 things on it, and they're about $1 each. I can swing it, and besides, whatever we don't finish, I'm gonna feed your dad. He'll be in heaven. Cove sighed affectionately at his mother's antics. Thank you.
You're welcome.
You're quite welcome. A few minutes later, Kyra exchanged her money for multiple bags of food, which she quickly tossed you both in the back seats. She then drove off into the night. Can you pass me something? What should I grab? Surprise me! You chose one of the wrapped sandwiches and handed it over to her. You had no idea if it was a burger or something else.
Thank you.
Thanks very much! Accepting that this was what was happening, Cove shrugged and started pulling food out of the bags for himself. Cove ended up with onion rings and he happily munched on them. I'm gonna grab something I like. You weren't even questioning Kyra's crazy ride anymore. The adventure continued and you were so preoccupied in the back that you almost didn't realize the car had stopped. Kyra turned to look over her shoulder. Okay, party people, it seems we've reached the end of the road. Confused, you checked out the window and saw nothing except the empty road ahead. Then you noticed it, the now leaving sign. Kyra took you through the entire town. What are we doing here? Kyra turned the car around and parked it along the side of the road. I think you both could use a break to stretch your legs, and I doubt anyone is going to come through here at this time of night. Besides, I need to make a call, so go on. Cove shook his head and got out of the car without a fight. I'm following Cove. You got out and caught up to Cove. He was busy looking at the stars and stretching his arms while he strolled around. This was a good place to stop. If she was going to take us all through town, at least it wasn't done halfway. Cove smiled, glancing from the stars to you. Shortly after, you noticed Cove's expression changed. His eyebrows furrowed, and it seemed like he was thinking hard about what he wanted to say next.
I'm so sorry.
I'm really sorry for my mom being crazy tonight. She isn't always like this, seriously. You mean she doesn't kidnap the neighbors all the time? Cove snorted briefly before becoming serious once more. I think she feels like she has to get out there and do things with me while she can. And she wants to make the time memorable. This visit has been really different than the others, and it didn't start off good. Aw, Cove. Cove. Thinking about how Kyra's trip began this summer, you could understand why Cove was thinking along those lines. She probably wanted all the trouble to be worth it in the end. Are you having a good time with your mom around? She's giving you a taste of your own medicine! Oh! Ooh! I'm going with that one. What? You always do whatever you want, no matter what anyone else is thinking. Now your mom is putting you through that. Cove took a second to mull over that assessment before cracking a smile. That's not totally wrong. It's completely right! Don't you dare disagree with me, my dear man! His smile grew a bit more. He went silent between both of you, so you jumped when you heard the sound of a car door closing. Cove! Blue! You turned to see Kyra by the driver's side, waving. The sight brought you a smile to Cove's face, and she quickly made her way over to where you both were standing. Thanks for waiting! I don't mind.
My baby.
How did I end up with such a polite boy? She ruffled his hair and Cove lowered his head. Accepting the compliment, you thought about how interesting it was to see how Cove interacted with his mom. And then the memory hit you. The first summer you and Cove came to this very spot in his runaway attempt to find his way back to his mom. And now you were all here, together. I'm gonna whisper it to Cove. Taking a step closer to Cove, you leaned in to share the moment just with him. Isn't it strange that your mom took us here? This is where you went to try Seer when you moved to Sunset Bird. Cove flinched and his eyes darted over to his mom, worried that she'd heard. When he was satisfied she didn't, he turned back. Yeah, it's weird, but she doesn't know what happened. At least I'm pretty sure she doesn't. Really? Dad likes to tell her things are fine so she doesn't worry. Cove looked at you gratefully, and you shared a conspiratorial smile. Anyways, it's kind of cool to be here, right on the edge of town. Exactly! We're standing on a precipice! I said that right? I don't really see what's so different about it, but okay. Still, I think so too. I knew you'd get it. It's good to appreciate these times and places. Kara let out a big breath of air. We should probably call it a night, huh? Yes! A second wind of energy hit you. You bounced on your feet, eager to get a move on. Kyra shyly smiled and gestured to the car. Quietly, you all made your way back to it. Cove naturally followed you, taking the seat nearby the window, back with a collection of fast food bags still strewn about. You rested your head on the seat As the car roared to life. As you did, Cove leaned in close to whisper.
Hey,
I can talk to your moms if they do get mad about tonight for some reason. It is my mom's idea. You didn't have a choice. It was worth it even if they get mad. Your mouth pulled into the biggest grin, getting a laugh out of Cove. If you say so. Also, don't worry about bringing the shirt back when we get home. Just keep it. Oh, you adorable boy! I wasn't gonna return it even if you wanted it back. Until tomorrow? He simply shook his head. Your face went warm. He was giving it to you. Good, you weren't getting it back no matter what. What do I say? Good, you weren't getting it back no matter what, or you're the best. Cove smiled, amused at you, but said nothing else. The drive home was smooth and uneventful, the radio off completely. You felt your eyelids getting heavy. I'm gonna have my head rest on Cove. You were too tired to keep your head up, and it felt quite comfortable there. Cove didn't have any issues there. He leaned into it. He must have been exhausted too. You were happy to stay close like that. It was warm and comfortable. Da 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 dots, da da dots, da da da. The passage of time as time moves on. In the silent thoughts, we're moving on. When you opened your eyes, you expected to still be in the car, not in your bedroom. It was somehow already morning. You couldn't remember how you ended up here. Sitting up in bed, you thought about how last night was quite an experience. It would almost have felt like a dream. If you weren't still wearing the shirt Cove had let you take, it definitely happened. And you were glad that you got to have a spontaneous escapade this summer. And voila, everybody, there we go. That is every moment. Next time is road trip, and then we move on to finish step 2 and move on into step 3. Thank you all so much for joining me as we continue playing our life, beginning and always. I'll see you in the next episode. Bye, everyone.